Okay, thanks everybody for your interest in the discussion this evening. Joining me are 4 former Loudoun Soccer players that are currently playing soccer in college at the Division I level. Allyson Brown, Maya Anand, Stephen Foss, and Zach Hosseinian. And just a little bit of background information about them. Allie Brown is going into her senior year at Virginia Tech. She played in 10 games or more in each of her first 3 seasons at Tech. She scored 5 goals and 2 assists. And before going to Virginia Tech, she played for the Loudoun 98 Red Team. And she helped that team win 2 State Cup championships. And they were also ranked #1 in the nation. Maya Anand is going in her sophomore year at Binghamton University. She spent some time not playing because she was injured, coming back from a major injury. But was able to play mostly in the second half of the season and played in 10 games as a freshman, scoring 1 goal, and she also earned America East Rookie of the Week honors. She played for the Loudoun 01 Red Team and ECNL team and helped the 01 Red Team to a State Cup championship. Stephen Foss is going into his senior year at JMU. He played in 6 games this past fall. Before going to JMU, he was the captain of the Loudoun 98 Red Team, and he helped that team win 4 State Cups and 3 Region 1 championships. And Zach Hosseinian is going into his junior year at William & Mary. He played in 11 games this past fall for the Tribe, and he was also a captain of the 99 Loudoun Red Team, which won 3 State Cup championships and also the 2016 National Championship. Thanks for your time, everybody. I really appreciate you spending some time with our club, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts tonight. Maya and Allie, let's start with you. Talk to me about what you've been doing during this pandemic, and have your college coaches, do they have you on some type of program? Did they send you a program in preparation for preseason, and have you been playing a lot of soccer? What have you been doing during this time? Allie, you want to start us off? Maya, you want to start us off? Allie, you got to make sure you unmute yourself.
Okay. The host has to unmute us sometimes. I don't know why that happens, but obviously there's really not a lot that we can do, but I've been trying to keep up with fitness, staying technical, and doing as much as possible. So we're doing something a little different this year. Instead of having like an entire packet for all of summer leading up to preseason, we're doing kind of weekly packets. So we have a Zoom meeting every week just to like go over everything and like try to make it as easy as possible for everyone to get the fitness in.
Great, Allie, sorry about that. And how about you?
That's okay. It's similar for my team too. So we meet weekly, and then we have like they're about 3-week plans, like workout plans, lifting, fitness, and my coach will also send us links to technical drills according to, what position you play. So like as a forward, we have shooting drills and just foot skill drills and all that type of stuff that we can do. And then we also have accountability partners that are groups of 2 or 3 of us that we meet with weekly and talk about what we've been keeping up with and just trying to hold each other accountable, and also just stay in touch with each other and, not lose that like relationship aspect of it.
Sounds very organized. You mentioned lifting, is that right?
Yeah.
How are you lifting? How do you have access to the gym, or are you doing it?
So we have, it kind of just depends on what you do have access to. I have dumbbells and, light weights that I can do, but he sends different options for, like, if you don't have weights, he sent band workouts, and my trainer actually sent all of us bands that we can use and sent us workouts that we can do with those. So I guess it's not really the way that we are used to lifting, but we're making the most out of, with what we have.
Very good. Stephen and Zach, how about you guys? Stephen.
Yeah, so we started, we're on our summer fitness program now. So our strength and conditioning coach has us running like 4 days a week and then just go for a jog the other 2 days. And then our strength training program is like similar to Ally's. Like it's pretty specialized for a few reasons, but mostly because every guy's home gym situation is different. So our strength and conditioning coach is kind of just gearing it to whatever you have at home. And then as far as soccer is concerned, it's definitely, you have to get very creative with finding field space, but it hasn't been too bad. So I've been able to get some ball work in. And then, I always try to take a teammate or a friend with me because if you have someone out there, pinging balls at you or pushing you, it really makes a massive difference. So, yeah, it got off rocky, but now it's like the new normal.
Very good. And Zach, how about you?
Yeah, I'm pretty similar to Steven, what he was saying. We've been working like very closely with our strength and conditioning coach, and he's put together a pretty solid program for us as far as like weightlifting and conditioning goes. And like we also have an option for like a no gym workout for those people that don't have access to weights, which is nice. And it's been pretty specialized. Like we have a weekly Zoom meeting with him and our coaches in case we have any questions about weight training or anything along those lines. And we've also, our coaches have put together like their own sort of packet that encompasses like tactical stuff as well as technical stuff. So like the other day we actually all just got together and like watched the Bayern Munich game as a team, and then we like split off in different groups to kind of like analyze certain aspects of the game. So that's been good just to kind of stick together as a team and at least get some sort of like film in.
That's great. You guys are staying active. Ali and Maya, how do you think your teams are going to be this fall? Last year, Ali, I think, Tech, you guys had a pretty good year. You made the NCAA tournament, which is a great achievement. And Maya, Binghamton, you guys won 10 games, which is great. So Maya, what do you think the season's going to look like this year? And do you have a lot of returners and upperclassmen coming back?
Yeah, I think this season is going to be really successful for us. Obviously, we're all coming in. No one's been playing soccer, but we're focused on a lot of fitness and technical and controlling the controllables. And this past season, one of our starters actually tore her ACL in preseason. So I'm going to be coming back. She's going to be coming back. And we have a good set of freshmen coming in. So, I mean, I'm not worried if that's something you're questioning. I'm excited.
Good. And Ali, how about you?
Same for me. I'm not worried about the fall at all. I think one of the most important things with teams right now is staying connected and keeping that chemistry. And my team's been doing a really good job with that. And a lot of our strong attackers and defenders from last year are underclassmen. So we definitely lost a lot of strong players, don't get me wrong, but I think that we have a lot of potential with the young girls on my team. And I know we have a lot of freshmen coming in. They're also definitely going to be competing for some starting spots. So I think this fall will be okay. I have confidence in us.
That's great. And Stephen at JMU, you guys have had last couple of years have been very good for you. And again, you made the NCAA tournament this year. What do you think your team's going to look like this upcoming fall?
Oh, we're gonna suck. I'm kidding. We're coming. Yeah. So like you said, like we've had a lot of success. We coming off back-to-back conference championships. So definitely want to defend those and three-peat. And I really do think we'll have a good team good enough to do that and make a run in the NCAA tournament. It's going to be a different team. We've got about 15 new guys coming in between transfers and freshmen. So it's going to be a very young team and very new team. But I mean, I think it'll be a super talented team, and I have no question we can get it done.
That's great. And Zach, what about William and Mary?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what Steven said, we have a very young team. We only graduated, I think, 4 or 5 seniors. So we have a very young, talented team. So definitely a lot of promise there. And I mean, everybody's been super motivated so far during this quarantine. So I definitely have really high hopes for finishing strong next season.
Good. Want to talk a little bit about your programs and your experience in college soccer now. Zach and Steven, Zach, you can start us off here. What are your preseasons typically like, and what do your coaches focus on? Do they focus more on fitness? Is it tactics? Is it a combination of both those things? And how do you prepare for your preseasons?
Yeah, so as far as preparation for preseason goes, like we have access to summer fitness packets, and not just fitness, but drills and stuff to do as well. So I just try to follow those as closely as I can, as well as playing. I mean, if this virus weren't going on, I'd be playing for a summer team, or just trying to get as many touches in as possible. As far as like actual preseason goes, so we actually, as a team, we go down about a week or like 10 days before our official start date, and we have like captain's practices, and those are more like fun. We like to get out and just play a lot, and it's a good way to get to know the incoming freshmen before things really start up. So that's something that we like to do. And then for like the actual preseason, I would say, I mean, it varies program to program, obviously, but I think we coming with such a young team, we're going to be focusing a lot on the tactical aspect of things, trying to get everybody in touch with like our style of play and everything. And I mean, there's obviously going to be fitness here and there, but from my past years, I've noticed that we don't stress fitness too much. There's certainly aspects of it, but a lot of it is tactical.
That's great. And Steven, is it similar at JMU or a little bit different?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely similar. It's definitely similar in a lot of ways. Like during the summer, you're supposed to play for a summer team, just to, like, maintain your touch and all that. And then as far as preparing for preseason, like it's running and more running. And then similar to what Zach said, like 2 weeks before the like NCAA mandated start of preseason, we'll go down and have captain's practices. So the whole team goes down to Harrisonburg 2 weeks before preseason starts, and we'll have like 2-a-days for like 5 days a week without any of our coaches, and lift in the mornings with our strength and conditioning coach, and then pick up games in the evenings. And those are all captain-led trainings. And then 2 weeks later, real preseason rolls around, and that's much more intense. It's 2 weeks where the typical day is like breakfast at 6:30 with the team, go get some treatment, practice at 8, ice baths, recovery, have lunch, then team meeting, whether that's tactical stuff like film or what have you, or sometimes it's a team building activity, anything from bowling, FIFA tournament, TED Talk, whatever the coaches feel like. There's definitely, I would say at JMU, there's definitely an emphasis on fitness in preseason more than anything. So that's definitely a super important part going in.
Yeah, that's usually the case because games are right around the corner after preseason. That's good. Allie and Maya, and Allie, you can start with this question. What is a typical day with your fall season look like for each of you? How much time do you spend with the soccer program each day with practice and everything else? When do you normally practice, and when do you fit in your classes around that?
So in the fall, typically our practices are like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. I can't remember exactly because it kind of switches a little bit, but we spend 2 hours practicing and then about an hour lifting in the mornings. So our class schedule, or our classes, are usually in the afternoon. I know I like to have a break in between practice and class if that's possible, just to fuel and get food in me and just be able to regroup a little bit. But we also, so as freshmen, we had study hall 3 days a week too. So that would be an extra 2 hours out of every day. So that's 5 hours for, commitments to any sort of, soccer related events. And then we also will have team training table, which is a team meal that we have to go to. And that's 2 days a week. So in the fall altogether, I'd say it's like 5 hours a day. So you got to get your classes in from like 11 a.m. to, 5 p.m. And there are some girls on the team that their classes are only offered like certain times. So if they have to, they'll take an 8 a.m. and then come straight to practice from class. And you can literally see them sprinting over the parking lot trying to get to practice. So, yeah.
Very good. Maya, is that similar for you at Binghamton?
Yeah, it's definitely similar. Our practice is at the same time every day though. So for example, we'd have like Tuesday and Thursday practices being at like 9 a.m. and then Wednesday and Friday being at like 10:30 or something. So times were kind of different, but similar to some of Ally's teammates, we'd have to like sprint from classes or sprint to classes. So that's a little difficult. But in terms of study hall, as a freshman, we have mandatory 8 hours a week. So most of the time, or training to class to study hall or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's a lot of hours. That's usually what the fall looks like. Stephen and Zach, there's different parts of the year in college soccer. You've got the fall season, then once the season ends, usually there's a break. You've got the winter break, and then you pick back up again with the spring off season. What is the spring off season like for you guys, and how does that compare to the fall in terms of the amount of hours you're with the soccer team, and what is the emphasis on for your programs in the spring?
Yeah, so the spring it's totally different. So starting in January, once you get back to school, it's usually like 2 weeks where you're only with the strength and conditioning coach, and then you enter the 8-week period or 8-hour period where you can only spend 8 hours every week with your coaches, like your soccer coaches, and like only 4 hours with the ball. And then once you get to like late February, you can go 20 hours a week. And then you start, training basically 4 days a week from like 1 to 3, and then from like 4 to 5:30 doing weights and conditioning. And then usually in a typical spring, you'll play 6 games or so. Just like scrimmages and whatnot. So yeah, the spring is definitely, the fall's way more fun than the spring. The spring's it's a lot of work, and it's pretty time consuming. But yeah, that's basically my experience in the spring.
Great. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, mine is very similar to what Steven said. So when we come back for that 2-week period, we mostly, like he was saying, focus on a lot of like weightlifting and just like going like maybe once or twice a week with our strength and conditioning coach, just get some lifts in. And then once that the next period rolls around, we'll have usually one team-wide practice, like where the whole team is there. And then what we did, since you only have like 4 hours or so with the ball, we would break off into like individual groups based on position. So I was with like the defenders, and we would go later that week and do like an hour or so of like, like very defensive specific things, like with or without the ball. And then once like the in-season portion came around, it did get a lot more time consuming. I think we had like 4 practices a week. And then if we had games, it'd be like 4 practices in the week and then a game on the weekend. And that would pretty much continue up until late April, I would think. So it is time consuming. The fall season, you have a lot more games though. So in the spring, you like can focus a lot more on like lifting heavier weights or like trying new things on the field, which is nice because you can it gives the coaches a chance to try out new tactics that they want to see in the fall. So it's definitely different though.
Do your coaches place a lot of emphasis on nutrition, Stephen and Zach? Are there certain things that you can eat and you're not allowed to eat in the fall season? And what are your pregame meals like and your postgame meals?
Yeah, so there's nothing like we don't have any specific team rules about nutrition, but we have like during the fall at least we'll meet with the nutritionist like once a week probably, and for an hour, and she'll kind of talk to us about what we should be doing. And they're actually, I mean, they're an awesome resource. They'll make you a grocery list. They'll give you a meal plan. And then as far as pregame and postgame meals, we'll eat every meal before a game together. And it's usually, Italian food. It's like, chicken and pasta. And then postgame, it's Chipotle usually. So, it's not bad, and it's nice. They hook you up with some free food. But yeah, for the most part, it's, don't be stupid, and they give you the resources to make the right decisions. So.
What about you, Zach?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty similar. Like, we don't have any like very strict policy on it. Like, they give us the resources. We'll have meetings with like nutritionists and like our strength coach, and like he'll give us tips and stuff on what we should be eating or what we should be avoiding. And like Foss said, we also, the day before like each home game, like that evening, we'll go to like an Italian restaurant as a team and, just have dinner together, which is nice. And as far as like pre-game meals, like a couple hours before the game, people usually do that on their own. I mean, and people have their own sort of rituals that they like to do, the things that they like to eat. So it definitely varies person to person. So it's not super strict, but the resources are definitely there. If you need help with it, or if you're confused about anything, like they will definitely help you out a lot.
Very good. So for each of you, what was the biggest challenge going from club and high school to Division I college soccer? Was there a jump that you feel like you needed to make, and what were some of the challenges both on and off the field? Maya, can you start us off with that one?
Yeah, so I think probably the biggest challenge for me specifically was trying to figure out like how to play like myself again, how to feel like myself again. And I think that's kind of a different situation for like some people, unless you guys feel the same way. But definitely just understanding the speed of play is a lot faster. Everybody's stronger, and kind of understanding that everybody was like the best player on their team. Everybody is, competing for a spot, and just kind of understanding that and using that to motivate yourself instead of letting that kind of tear you down.
Yeah, we've had some other college players speak, and they mentioned the same thing, the fact that everybody's good. Everybody was really good coming out of club, and so there's a lot of competition for sure. Allie, what about you?
Same as what Maya said, definitely on the field, everybody is, the best of where they came from. And I know like with the experience in club and high school, it's different levels of play throughout the team kind of, but just everybody is, just as fast, just as strong, just as talented as you. And you need to, compete every single day, because nothing is promised or guaranteed. And definitely off the field, time management was the biggest adjustment between high school and college. You're on your own, so you don't have your parents to cook for you or, drive you places, and you're trying to balance that with schoolwork, all the time commitments with soccer, practices, meals, study hall, tutoring, all of that. So off the field, I would say time management skills were the biggest adjustment.
Great. And Zach and Steven, how about you guys?
Yeah, so I mean, everything that Maya and Ali said is definitely true for me as well. Speed of play, the physical aspect, discipline, you're on your own, you're living on your own, so you gotta make the right choices. And then on the field, there are a lot of differences between club and college soccer for sure. Personally, probably the biggest on the field difference is, the relationship that you have with the staff and the coaches. So like in club, Mark Ryan coached me for like 5 years, and over that time, we got really close, and he's a friend now, and I felt very comfortable at Loudoun, playing for Mark for a lot of reasons, but mostly because I know he cared about me a lot, and he cared about everybody on the team, and was invested in their futures outside of soccer. Now I also have a good relationship with the staff at JMU, but it's definitely a relationship that is a lot more professional. The coaches at the college level, they need to win to keep their jobs. So, they're not going to hold your hand and be patient. And if they feel like putting pressure on you is going to help the team, or, benching you or giving you even more responsibility is going to help the team, then that's what they're going to do. So while college coaches will, they're going to help you succeed, they are first and foremost, invest in the program and the team's success. So that was definitely an adjustment. But once you do adjust to that, and you understand how college coaches kind of work, you're going to be better off.
Very good. Zach, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, this is similar to what everybody's been saying, but I think at least on the field, the biggest thing for me to adjust to is just like how much more athletic everybody was, because in college, like some teams will recruit people based on like their dribbling ability or passing, but there are some teams that look for like just very high level athletes. So it's definitely something to get used to. And, being an outside back, a lot of times like in club, I could kind of just rely on, being faster or stuff like that to kind of get by. But in college, I've realized that like almost everybody is as fast, if not faster than me. So a thing that I had to get used to pretty quickly was being a lot more like intentional about my defending, like body positioning, the way I shape my body and everything like that. So the coaches like worked with me when I first came to college, like really helped me improve that side of my game. And I think it was just something that I was not used to. So definitely that was a big thing for me. And I mean, similar to what Steven said about like the coaching staff. I mean, I have a great relationship with my coaching staff now, but it can definitely be a little bit different when you come in, especially like your first year. I mean, now that I'm a junior, it's different, but coming in my first year, it was very professional. Like it's business. We're here to do a job, stuff like that. So it is different from club, but besides that, I guess the other thing would be coming in as a freshman. It can be pretty nerve-wracking, especially when you're asked to start a game or you're asked to like have a decent role to play. It can be pretty nerve-wracking because you're just a freshman and you're playing against people that are like 21, 22 years old. So a big thing is also just trusting yourself, trusting that you're good enough to play at that level, and that like you were brought there for a reason, because that mental side of it can also be a pretty big hurdle to get over.
It's great. Question from one of our players that's watching here. Maya, what is one thing you wish you knew before you got to college? Or is there one thing you wish you knew before you got to college?
No, there's a lot of things I wish I knew, but if I had to choose one, I'd probably say I wish I just like knew not to care so much about like little things and like making mistakes, like being perfect, and kind of just focus on the present moment and focus on what I'm doing on at the moment. So that's kind of a big thing that I've been working on.
Great. Allie, anything to add to that?
I would say I wish I was a little bit more prepared for the mental aspect of it and how tough that was going to be. And just kind of like, I have a great relationship with all of my teammates, but at the end of the day, you're all competing for a starting spot and you're all competing for playing time. And like, a few of them mentioned before, it's a business. your coaches are there to win in order to keep their jobs. So they need you to be performing well. And if you're not performing well, they have other players that they can, play. So yeah, I think I wish I was a little more prepared for that.
Got it. Cool. Turning to recruiting here a little bit. Stephen and Zach, talk about your recruiting experience, what schools you were interested in, how you went through the recruiting process, and ultimately how you chose the school that you're at right now. Stephen, if you want to start us off.
Yeah, sure. So my story is a little different. So I was very close to playing at a few different schools. I was probably closest to playing at the Air Force Academy and William & Mary. So with the Air Force Academy, they had offered me a spot, and ultimately I just decided I didn't want to go to a military academy. And then I got offered a spot by William & Mary, and was very close to taking that, but I decided I didn't want to go to school with Zach. So I said, no way. No, I just decided it wasn't the school for me. But really what it was is I wanted to go to school at James Madison. Unfortunately, the head coach at the time that I was in high school just wasn't a very big fan of me. But I really wanted to go to Madison. So I said, soccer has to end eventually, and I'd rather go to Madison and not play soccer than go somewhere else and play Madison as a regular student. And 2 weeks into the season, the head coach of the soccer team, the guy who didn't want me, he left the program, and the assistant coach became the head coach and offered me a tryout to walk onto the team. And ended up making the team, and that was that. And it's been a blast ever since. But yeah, I mean, the recruiting process is, it's not fun. It's really not fun. You got to be on top of your stuff. And you never know who's watching when you're playing. But yeah, I mean, the biggest piece of advice I could give is make sure you choose the school first, and then let soccer follow that.
That's great. Zach, how about you?
Yeah, so for recruiting, I think I knew that I always wanted to stay somewhat local, like as in Virginia or relatively close. So that helped with my search for schools. But yeah, some other schools I was looking at, I looked pretty closely. Like I was considering Mason, also very closely at Washington and Lee, which is Division III. But I just love the school so much that I was very close to taking a spot there. I think ultimately, like why I decided on William & Mary was, I think a big part of it was just like the coaching staff and the people that I had met when I went on my visit. I mean, obviously I loved the campus and great academics, and it was pretty close to home, which is what I was looking for. But the thing is, like Washington and Lee was very similar in that aspect too. So the thing that kind of pulled it apart was like the coaching staff and the people that I met. So the coaching staff at William & Mary, they were actually the first people to reach out to me in the recruiting process pretty early, like sophomore year. And they just maintained a very consistent relationship with me throughout the following year. Just always reaching out to me, wanting to keep in touch. And I think that spoke pretty loud volumes to me. I really appreciated that. And the people that I met when I went on my visit, they just had a really good team culture. The guys all got along really well. And it really just seemed like a tight-knit, like family type of team. And that's something that I really was looking for, because that's something that I felt that I had on my club team, and it really helped me develop well as a player and a person. So that was something that I really looked for, and that's a big part of why I decided to go to William & Mary. And as far as the overall recruiting process, similar to what Steven said, it's not always going to be fun. You definitely have to stay on top of your stuff, because you never know what teams are going to be at showcases and stuff. So just, reaching out, even sending out mass emails just to coaches, even if you don't even really know if you want to go to the school or not, but just trying to contact people, as many people as possible, just so you can get looked at and get feedback on your game is important. And then, once you kind of have that initial contact, keeping on top of it, and, making sure that the coaches are still aware that you're playing and stuff like that.
Great. Allie and Maya, can you talk a little bit about your experience in the recruiting process, and also, like Stephen and Zach commented on, what advice would you give to all the players that are listening right now as far as recruiting and things to be aware of? If you could touch on that, that'd be great. Allie?
So mine's kind of long, not long, but there's just a lot to it. So I'll just sum it up pretty quickly. But basically, I was committed to West Virginia. I committed there kind of early and changed my mind my junior year of high school and decommitted and then committed to Virginia Tech. So I guess my biggest piece of advice would be to not rush it and consider everything, because I think I was a little bit immature at the time and didn't see past soccer. I didn't consider anything more than just the soccer team. So yeah, I would just say to take your time and don't let anyone rush you or pressure you to make any decisions, because at the end of the day, it's it's where you're going to be going to school. You're going to be spending 4 years of your life there. So you want to make sure it's the right fit for you in every aspect.
Great. And Maya?
Yeah, so I was talking to a couple of colleges at the time, and Binghamton reached out to me, and I had literally no idea who they were, where they were even from. I couldn't even pronounce the name. And I was like, okay, like I might as well just, talk to the coach, see what he has to say. And it ended up being like amazing. I went on a visit. I loved the campus. I loved the people there. And it kind of just goes to show that like you need to just trust the process and not dwell on like the name school, or not dwell on as Ali was saying, just soccer. Like look past just what you're thinking about in the moment, because for example, if you get injured, you're going to be at that school, and if you're not playing soccer, like are you going to be happy with being at that place? So I would definitely just say trust the process and consider everything.
Coach Dave, I think you're muted right now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
good.
Question was this. Are there one or two memories from our soccer club that you can think of, or one or two stories that you have from the Loudoun Soccer Club that you can share with us? And keep in mind your coaches are probably listening right now. So Maya, let's start with you.
I think the one memory that pops into my head is when we played in the Disney tournament and my cousin guest played with us. I just remember that being just such a fun tournament. My entire team, we hung out so much. I remember, Alberto being Alberto, that was just great. But I think that was probably the best memory. We won, so that was fun. But also just all the practices, I was with Alberto for a long time, so he's really important. But and you, Coach Dave, I only got a year with you, but still, just every practice there was something funny that happened.
Thank you. Allie, how about you?
Honestly, every memory on my team was the best, but because I know two of my former coaches are on the call, with Coach Rayanne, I'll never forget her airheads, and those were just some of the best times ever, forming friendships that I know will last a lifetime. And with Coach May, we had so many good memories, winning state championships and regional championships. And I think one of my favorite memories is the Disney tournament, and I remember scoring a header goal in like the last few minutes against Top Hat, I think, and just being on the field with your best friends in such a cool environment, with college coaches watching and against such a good team. It was just, I'll never forget that. But yeah, there's so many good memories, it's hard to pick.
Great. Zach, how about you?
Yeah, I definitely have a lot. I think the one that definitely sticks out the most, I guess, pretty obviously, is winning a national championship. I still look back on that day, and that was 4 years ago, I think, about to be 4 years ago, and that's still like one of the happiest days of my life, definitely. It was just pretty incredible that we managed to make it all the way there with guys that I've been playing with since I was like 9, 10 years old. And that we were able to even make it to that stage. And I think that tournament itself was pretty crazy for us because we lost our first game in the group stage. Our group was really tough. We barely made it out of our group, and then we managed to win the whole thing, which was pretty incredible. And I think, I mean, since Jono and Coach Mark are here, I guess specific memories about them that I remember. So Jono, I remember that we were playing in a CCL showcase, and a soccer team came to play us, and they only showed up with 10 people to play us, and Jono was not happy at all. We drove all the way to Richmond to play this team, and I specifically remember that we were up 8-0 at halftime, and we kind of thought, Jono, being the serious guy that he is, would kind of lighten up a little bit. But instead, he told us at halftime that we needed to go out and bury them. And we were up 8-0, so I thought that was a little excessive. But looking back, that was pretty funny. And for Mark Ryan, I remember because he was our coach at Nationals, and I remember in the National Championship game, his 98s were playing the final the same day, an hour after. The times actually overlapped, so we were up 1-0. We scored in the first half, and keep in mind, my dad is the assistant coach. My dad has been our assistant coach for like 10 years, and I didn't realize that Coach Mark had to leave to go coach the 98s. So we were up 1-0 in a really intense game with like 10 minutes left, and like I look over to the coach to ask a question. I see my dad standing there, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, why is my dad the coach? So, yeah, Mark Ryan leaving our game at halftime was probably a pretty fond memory of mine.
And Steven, how about you?
It's so tough not to just pick. I'm not just going to pick just one. Like I could go on for hours just talking about, all the great memories made at LSP and all that on team trips and team hotels, all of it. And 4 state cups. So any of those were just awesome. We won National League and the Disney Showcase my U17 year. And that was a crazy game. We went down 2-0. We went down a man. We came up back with 10 guys and won that game 3-2. In U15, when I played for the 98 team and the 99 team, but in U15, when I was still playing for the 98 team, the national championships were at Germantown in Maryland, and both the boys and girls 98 Loudoun teams were playing in that. So that was a blast because I had a lot of friends on that team, and it kind of felt like we had home field advantage. Probably my best memory is in 2016, we were playing in the national semifinal against Seattle, and we were losing 1-0. And in the 89th minute, I remember I was exhausted. We were playing in Texas. It was like 101 degrees outside, and I had played all 89 minutes. And Mark, I remember like looking over the sideline at Mark, and I was kind of freaking out because like we were about to get knocked out. And I looked over at Coach Mark, and he just like nodded, and he was like, "It's coming." And then a minute later, cross comes in on the back post, and I score in the 90th minute. We tie the game, and we ended up going on to win that game in PKs. So that was cool. And then I'm trying to think of a coach anecdote. I guess in Disney, like I guess we're probably U18. In the Disney Showcase, we went to PKs, and our keeper got a concussion, and he couldn't play in PKs. So Mark decided to pick me to play keeper during PKs, and he to his credit, he pissed off a lot of the teammates because I'm like 5'9" generously, and we had a couple 6'4" guys who wanted to be in goal, but we ended up winning that shootout, I didn't save a single PK. The kid hit it like 20 yards over the bar, and we won that game. So it made Mark look really smart, I guess. But yeah, a lot of good memories. It was a blast.
You guys are full of good stories. Well, listen, thanks so much for your time and for sharing your thoughts on college soccer and also some good stories about the club. We want to wish you guys the best of luck in your fall seasons, and we'll be following your programs and following you individually as well. And good luck with the rest of your summer and your preparation for preseason. And again, thanks a lot for everything and for your time tonight.
For sure.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Yeah.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.